Hello, everybody, and welcome to the AOR F1 2016 Season 12 Championship. My name is Justin, and today we'll be bringing you all the coverage from Round 17 at the Suzuka circuit in Japan. I am not alone, however. As with the Malaysian Grand Prix, I am joined today once again by AliK.
Yep, it is good to be back for another race, and obviously the main talking point coming into this one is that the Flying Finn has a chance to win the championship. He's been unbelievable all season, and he has a chance to finally wrap it up today. It should be, if it's anything like Malaysia, another cracking race, and I'm very much looking forward to it.
Yeah, last time it was TRL Martin who picked up the win in Sepang with the Flying Finn following very closely and less than a tenth behind, in fact, as the checkered flag fell. And HCR Cupid puttered across the line after running out of fuel at the final corner and losing that win. In the championship, the Flying Finn extended his lead significantly, with Sayaryu only managing to score a single point, which means the championship could be decided here at Suzuka, as Ali mentioned, if the Flying Finn outscores Sayaryu by more than 5 points, and as long as he doesn't get outscored by Martin by more than 7 points. So that's how things look in the championship. But let's turn our focus toward the Japanese Grand Prix, starting with the qualifying report.
So then, here we are at Suzuka circuit for another qualifying comparison for round 17 of the AOR season, this time with second and third in the championship going head-to-head with TRL Martin on the left and Sayaryu on the right. Now blasting into the first corner, very high speed on the first part and gradually slowing it down to third gear for our exit of the corner, then into the lovely SS here at Suzuka, where technique and precision is what it's about, trying to carry as much speed as possible through the corners while also nailing the line you take. Ideally you want to stay to the right going into this one to be able to take it flat out or close enough to it as they go up the hill and then down again towards the Degner curves. Trying to stay within the track limits there, and then again for the second part, and as you can see on the freeze frame, Sayaryu with a very marginal advantage here after the first sector of the lap. Now coming into the Kamui Kobayashi dive bomb hairpin, both drivers going all the way down to first gear for the best possible turning and then flicking up, short shifting up quickly to fourth to help with the traction out of the corner, before the very long turn 12, which feels like a straight because it's obviously very easily flat out, and then the spoon curve, very high entry speed as you gradually flick down through the gears down to third on the second part, and then both drivers short shifting up again for what can be a quite tricky traction zone and down onto this back straight. And it does seem like that Sayaryu still has got like half a car length of an advantage on Martin, but now 130 are easily flat out in dry conditions, as the drivers are now dead equal going into the Casio triangle for the chicane, down to second gear, hitting the first apex nicely, lining themselves up for a good exit, and then controlling the traction and the grip through this bumpy section past the pit wall, trying to not take that, and then you can see TRL Martin gained a slight advantage at the end of the lap to take first place pole position in the qualifying, just ahead of Sayaryu.
So taking a look at the grid for the Japanese Grand Prix, and it was one of the closest qualifying sessions of the season as TRL Martin took pole position for the second successive race in a row with a 132.7, with Sayaryu lining up on the front row alongside him, less than half a tenth behind. HCR Cupid will share the second row with championship leader the Flying Finn, with pretty strong qualifyings from both of them, neither of them particularly far away from the pole time, so we could see a very close battle at the front during the race. RS Falcon and Ycoms will make up the third row with impressive qualifyings from both of them, and the same can be said about AOR Raikkonen and Mike Marshmallow in P7 and 8. Andre BCF 1997 and STS F1 Alonso will round out the top 10, with AOR Reversal being the first person to have free tyre choice for the race. Jason 97 F1 will line up in P12 with Franglish in P13, Lucky Dog 2000 now in 14th, 6 Gills in 15th, Bernard F1 in 16th, and then Maurizio Alonso in 17th, and the other reserve driver of IRL Giovinazzi in P18, with Cyril Hamilton rounding out the grid in P19, having not set a time. And despite several drivers not being able to make the start of the race, we should still be in for a cracking race if qualifying is anything to go by.
Welcome to the grid here at the legendary Suzuka circuit, where the Williams driver, the Flying Finn, has a chance of wrapping up the Drivers' Championship and claiming his first AOR title. There's 5 guys missing today. 2 reserve drivers will be filling in, meaning a grid of 19 cars for the race. We have a 0% chance of rain. Looks like it's going to be sunny skies for the first time in a long time, Ali.
Yeah, we have plenty of drivers on the grid. Suzuka, not famed for overtaking opportunities, but it still should be an extremely entertaining race. Obviously, a lot of pressure on the Flying Finn's shoulders. He can emulate another Flying Finn, Mika Hakkinen, today, so he's going to be wanting to wrap up the championship here, I feel.
Yep, I think that would mean something special for him, and it's not that hard. He just needs to outscore Seiryu by 5 points. I say it's not that hard, but yeah, outscoring Seiryu, of course, is never a given, so I'm sure he's going to be putting up as much of a fight as he possibly can, and then also, he just needs to not be beaten by TRL Martin by more than 7 points. But yeah, it's going to be an entirely dry race, so people's strategies are actually going to play a bigger role than they have done in the past 5 races where we've had mixed conditions. This will, in fact, be the first all-dry race, or at least if the weather forecast holds up, the first all-dry race since Hungary, in fact. So all of these guys making their way to the grid now, and it looks like it's going to be more strategy-focused in this race compared to previous races. And what do you think, Ali, we're going to see as far as strategies for stops?
It's likely to be a 2-stop using 2 sets of soft and 1 set of hard, but 1 set of hard tyres even, but there's a little bit of variation. Guys outside the top 10 may be going for a 1-stop, but I guess we'll have to wait and see as everyone is now lining up on the grid.
Yeah, could see something different from someone trying a 1-stop, potentially Seiryu. We could see trying a 1-stop. He has been kind on his tires in the past, but on board with the leader of the championship, the Flying Finn, as the lights prepare to go out here in Suzuka. Engines revving, and they're away, and it looks like a good start for everyone in the top 4. Possibly a lot of wheel spin for Seiryu in that Renault, but it looks like he's going to hold on to that second place position. Cupid pressurizing around the outside, but not really making a move. The top 4, single file more or less. Ycoms coming under attack from RS Falcon in that McLaren. He's going to have the inside line for this left-hander as they enter into the very complicated, very difficult S section of the circuit, where they're just going to be picking up lots of dirty air. Oh, and Jason97 F1 in the Ferrari making a move around the outside of, I believe that was Andre. Yes, a battle between Reversal, who is way down the order, actually. Reversal starting outside the top 10. That's unfortunate for him, but he's doing some battling in that S section as well. And the Flying Finn just trying to keep everything clean, I would imagine, in these opening laps. He's really just focused on that championship, I would think.
Yep, the race isn't won on lap 1 as Raikkonen has dived it down the inside of Ycoms into the hairpin. Ycoms is surely going to have a better exit though. And something to point out is Raikkonen is way down on fuel, completely the opposite to HCR Cupid, who I think has probably learnt from his mistake in Malaysia and has overfueled the car by at least a lap. So I don't think we'll be seeing that again from him, as Jason97 F1 is getting very close to the back of Franglish. He is in a very good position actually in P11 on the mediums, as Burnout is going very, very wide. He's coming under pressure from Giovinazzi. That's extremely wide. Where on earth is Burnout going? And he has lost a couple of positions on the straight, but now back on board with the battle at the front. Tiago Martin is coming under pressure from Seiryu into the chicane. Seiryu not making the move, possibly just setting it up for the straight, as the Flying Finn has almost steamed into the back of HCR Cupid, which was probably a pretty heart-in-mouth moment for him, as he nearly loses it out of the final corner, as well as Martin is weaving about all over the place on the straight to try and negate the slipstream advantage of Seiryu. Cupid looking around the outside into turn 1, quite sensibly backs out of that, as we now have Vulcan going side by side with Ycoms into turn 1, but the Force India maintains the position. It's been a frantic start, but also a very clean one from pretty much everyone in the field.
Yeah, you can actually see it on the mini-map there at the bottom left-hand corner. There is a little bit of a gap forming at the back there. Oh, HCR Cupid! A bit of an incident there with Seiryu through the S's. That's going to send him off the circuit, plummeting down through the positions as well. He's going to feed back in just ahead of Jason97 F1, who's carried so much more speed, though. Andre as well in that Toro Rosso carrying so much more speed, but it looks like they are going to stay behind the Red Bull driver of HCR Cupid, who has lost loads. Oh my God! And what has happened to the Manor? Wow, I'm kind of speechless there. That was an interesting one. Both front wheels coming off of that Manor car. Maybe we'll get a replay of that. I'm kind of flabbergasted right now, though. I haven't seen anything like that happening in AOR anytime recently, but go ahead and talk us through this replay here.
Yeah, it looks like it's a pretty clean start from Tiago Martin. Absolutely no wheel spin, and he isn't really challenged into turn 1. Seiryu couldn't get close enough. And then Cupid looking around the outside, but there wasn't really enough space, and obviously with a little bit of caution on lap 1, and everyone managed to get through cleanly. This is on board with Jason on the mediums. He's going to have a bit less traction than everyone else. Someone on his left gets a flying start. That is Franglish, who splits 2 cars down the middle into turn 1. down the inside of Reversal, who I noticed lost a couple of positions from P11 on the grid, but a good start from the McLaren. Oh, a lot of lag going on there. And then this is Cyril Hamilton, Giovinazzi and Burnout. So this is just after Burnout lost those 2 positions, and he gets very, very close through 130R. That is a recipe for disaster going side by side through that corner. And then there's the lag. That's a really, really unfortunate incident for HCR Cupid. This time it is him who's going to be having to do a recovery drive coming through the field. And then this is on board with this, frankly, bizarre incident. I have never seen anything like that before. What on earth? It appears Lucky Dog's car lags backwards for a millisecond and almost ends up inside the manor. But yeah, I've never seen anything quite like that before.
That was truly surprising. Yeah, as you mentioned, just that was a unique situation. Certainly never seen that, and just very unfortunate to have that kind of incident, certainly, especially in the tail end of the season. But back on board with the race leaders on lap number 3 now, and the Flying Finn getting very, very close to Seiryu in that Renault up ahead through the Degners and into the hairpin we go, and late on the brakes, and Flying Finn nearly pushing Seiryu through the corner. He's definitely seeming very aggressive. It's now a bit of a 3-horse race up at the front, a bit of a gap starting to form down to Ycoms in 4th position. So these 3 starting to break away, but Martin not nearly breaking away as much as he would have liked to. Still has that Renault of Seiryu all over the back of him. Of course, all of these guys starting on the soft compound tires, so I'm expecting a very likely 2-stop from a lot of these guys, but again, Seiryu could be one of those guys that we could see push those soft tires for a longer stint, try and go onto a set of the hards and finish the race that way. The Flying Finn did seem to lose a pretty significant amount of time. He has closed that back in, though, through the Casio triangle. The back end stepping out ever so slightly, getting on the power, coming out of that final corner. And here we go with the DRS activated on TRL Martin. Seiryu, is he going to go to the right-hand side? He is. He's going to go to the right-hand side with the inside line at turn number 1, and he is going to take that position relatively easily and just take that apex for turn 2 as well. So a nice, clean overtake for Seiryu. I'm not sure, maybe Martin just didn't want to get too involved in battling, or maybe he wants to be a pal and help Seiryu out. We'll see what kind of fight he puts up against the Flying Finn, but I am pretty sure that he is not going to want to lose any further positions. A little bit further down the field, the Ferrari driver of Jason97 F1 getting very close to the Flying Finn's teammate STS F1 Alonso, currently running in 8th position, but he seems to be struggling at the moment, Ali.
Oh yeah, there's some very strange ghosting going on. A few issues with lag throughout the field here. We saw that incident with Seiryu and that bizarre incident with 6 Skills as well. But Jason, he is in a very, very strong position. I think the 1-stop could potentially be the quickest strategy. So if Jason can make these mediums last, he's in a very strong position as the Williams has just gone straight on at that hairpin and is going to lose a huge amount of positions, dropping back behind this entire train. Is going to come out in P12, which is a pretty dire mistake for him to make. And now TRL Martin is all over the back of Seiryu, probably just setting it up for a move into turn 1, the reverse of what we saw on the previous lap. I'm not sure why Martin didn't fight too hard. It was a little bit surprising to see him so passive whilst being overtaken, as Lucky Dog has a bit of an oversteer moment. Another one of those guys on the mediums who could be potentially 1-stopping as he's getting swamped into 130R. No straight line speed at all, and STS F1 Alonso is working his way back through the field after that incident. Now on board with his teammate, the Flying Finn. This is going to be very, very interesting because he's got 2 guys battling for the lead in front of him. Surely he's just going to sit behind. He's not going to make it 3 wide as he into turn 1 as Martin is down the inside of Seiryu. He's pushed wide a little bit, potentially a little bit of contact. And is the Flying Finn going to be able to get the Renault driver, his championship rival of sorts? And he is. And Seiryu has gone from P1 to P3 in the space of 1 corner as Jason is battling away with Andre BCF 1997. But he's up to P8. He's just behind his teammate who started way up the grid. So here is Cupid in the pits for a set of hards very early with a front wing change as well. Not entirely sure what's happened there. And then Burnout F1 as well, also in the pits for a front wing change. I'd imagine you still be able to carry on a 2-stop strategy from here, so it's not too disastrous from that point as Lucky Dog has lost it on the curb and is in the wall, and surely that's almost a race-ending incident there, and there's someone, I believe he's taken with him into the gravel. There are a couple of cars here, STS F1 Alonso and Sierra Hamilton. It wasn't clear at all from the camera angle on board with Lucky Dog, but he's actually taken a couple of cars with him, and these top 3 in the championship are breaking away as the top 3 in the race here. So the Flying Finn will probably be pretty eager to wrap up the championship and pass TRL Martin here. It would probably mean quite a lot to him to wrap up the championship so early, but it is too early to say that just yet, as Seiryu is pitting this lap and his tyres selection are a set of mediums. So He must be going soft medium hard, I would assume, as the Flying Finn is now trying to go around the outside of TRL Martin into the final chicane. Martin defending the inside. The Flying Finn is going to have a cutback though. Surely he's going to have a much better exit onto the straight as Martin comes into the pits very early, and Ciario and TRL Martin are both going for the undercut. Some very interesting strategies playing out here, Justin.
Yeah, those guys apparently not liking the softs, as RS Falcon, though, making up a move with the benefit of DRS down the start-finish straight, and there is the Renault driver of Ciario going on to the mediums, as we saw as per plan. Ycoms now up into third after those two guys diving into the pits, so we will see if he can do any sort of overcut. Oh, Giovinazzi getting very close to the barrier there, of course. Very easy to completely destroy your race, actually, with that pit entrance here at Suzuka, so those guys really flirting with disaster there, but Ciario will come out in P9 behind TRL Martin, and with a pretty significant gap to Martin as well. So it does seem that he's lost time in the pit stop phase. Ycoms getting a track extension warning as he's trying to keep up with RS Falcon up ahead. The Sauber driver, Mike Marshmallow, pressurizing him from behind as we head into the turn 11 hairpin. No Kamui Kobayashi type dive bombs into the hairpin on this occasion, but Ycoms with a decent amount of oversteer, still getting wheel spin, is going to lose that position to Mike Marshmallow, who now takes third at the moment, but again, still yet to pit as the Flying Finn again is leading this race. Oh, and that's a track extension warning as well for RS Falcon. Jason97 F1 pressurizing his teammate, following through in Spoon and picking up lots of dirty air, but he does seem to be doing a lot better. Clearly, these mediums are starting to come into their own as the softs begin to wear out, and of course, he would be on a brand new set of mediums as well, whereas most of these guys are on worn softs. So let's see, will the Flying Finn respond? Yes, he does. The Williams driver into the pits for what we can only assume will be a set of medium tires with 21 laps remaining. RS Falcon as well into the pits. So is Ycoms right on the limit, locking up both fronts into the pits, and does get it all slowed down though. I'm not seeing any penalties as of yet. And interestingly here, Ali, the leader, the Flying Finn, has gone for the hards.
Yeah, not only that, he was also held in the pit, so he's going to lose heaps of time to Martin and Ciario, not only with the undercut, but being held in the pits as well. And Ciario and Martin are both going to comfortably clear the Flying Finn. Look at that, it's a huge gap. And crucially, I think the Flying Finn has just managed to get out ahead of the traffic of Sierra Hamilton. And this is Andre coming out, or Raikkonen even coming out just ahead of Andre BCF 1997. But all of these guys who've just pitted, I would guess, are going to be on a two-stop. But with the Flying Finn pushing that one lap later, I would assume he's going to go on the soft for the final stint. And I would guess that Ciario and Martin are going to have to run a harder compound than that, as Cupid is in the pits again. Interestingly, he is having an absolute nightmare, and there we can see why. That is a very bizarre incident as well. Not entirely sure what happened there. He kind of got glued to the back of the Williams and then launched around into a completely odd spin, and obviously front wing damage around here is going to have a drastic effect. So he's not having a good race after such a good qualifying and looking like he's going to battle for the lead. It just gets worse for HCR Cupid. He's got a drive through as well, so he's going to be well down the order. But Ycoms on the hard tyres. He's in a bit of traffic here. I don't believe Sierra Hamilton has pitted yet. Mike Marshmallow, I think, has pitted.
He has, yeah.
So Hamilton, if he's only doing one more stop before the end of the race, he is legitimately battling these guys. So pretty impressive strategy from him if he can take a set of hards to the end. I assume he's on a set of mediums at the moment, but all this battling is just allowing once again the top three to get away from everyone else and build a gap to the rest of the field. And here on board with RS Falcon, not a lot of wear on those hards despite pitting several laps ago. So the hards do last a very long time and don't drop off in pace at all, as it's getting very, very close to 3 cars almost coming into the chicane. Very, very close to each other as RS Falcon has dived. I don't think he actually intended to do that, but he's picked up a 3-second time penalty for losing it through the chicane and accidentally cutting the corner. But it looks like Mike Marshmallow up in front will be making a move on Sierra Hamilton. He has much fresher tyres. Both cars darting all over the track in front of them, but Ycoms sitting back, and a fairly simple move for Mike Marshmallow. That's a sizable corner cut from the Force India, and he's gone very wide at turn 1, and Falcon is all over the back of him, and I'm pretty sure Ycoms, we've seen him pick up 2 warnings, so I don't think he's that far away from a 3-second time penalty. He may have already picked one up, but again, time penalties are going to play a pretty big role in this race. It is extremely easy to pick one up around here with so many high-speed corners. The slightest misjudgment in turning can get you a warning, and obviously 3 of them and you will pick up a 3-second time penalty, so that could have a fairly sizable impact on the standings at the end of the race. But Andre still rolling around just behind Raikkonen, who seems to be in a bit of clear air at the moment. He pitted for a set of hards a couple of laps ago, and now on board with Ciari in P3. He's still just behind Tyrrell Martin. Somebody is still in the lead of this race who hasn't pitted yet, but I think the strategy choices of these drivers are going to give us an extremely interesting end to the race, because these guys are going to be on hards at the end, as it's Jason 97 F1 who is in the lead of the race, and he's only going to be making one more stop till the end of the race. So as I said earlier, he's in a very commanding position, and this strategy could really work out for him, as the Flying Finn is now pretty far behind Ciari.
Yeah, but with the hards being the mandatory tire, Sayaryu is in fact going to have to go into the hards later on, and there is that third corner cut warning for Ycoms. So yes, he has gotten a penalty at some point, even though no message popping up there, and there is yet another one. So I think it's safe to say that is actually his second 3-second time penalty, if I am not mistaken. So he is definitely going to be feeling that one later on when the checker flag falls. But picking up the DRS on CRL Hamilton, not able to get alongside the Mercedes, and yes, indeed, I am getting confirmation that it is, in fact, the second 3-second time penalty already for the Force India driver of Ycoms. So I imagine he's got to be frustrated with that. And of course, you know, it's a compounding thing. You know, you get frustrated and then you make more mistakes, and it just becomes worse and worse. So as you mentioned, though, Jason 97 F1 currently leading this race as it stands right now, potentially going on a one-stop strategy. We're now on lap number 10. And I believe he started on the mediums, so if he could do 10 laps on the mediums, I think it's very possible that he could do 16, 17 laps on the hards. So we'll see what happens with that. RS Falcon now can't take any more of the Force India, but can't get the exit out of the turn 11 hairpin, and Ycoms will maintain that position for right now. And Sayaryu is going to be coming into the pits before the Flying Finn and is going to get a second undercut on him. So right now he might be pulling away a little bit from the championship leader and feeling a little bit better. Ycom's still struggling. I'm not sure if it's a setup issue for him with the car or if he's just really not getting along well with the tires, but definitely struggling in that Force India today. Through 130R, getting very close to the back of Sierra Hamilton. That's contact off the grass. RS Falcon is through. Hamilton is off the circuit. Falcon gains another position as a result of that. He has no reason to slow down. Hamilton is going to actually dive into the pits for a tire change. Ycoms will continue on in P7, but very interesting stuff going on. And in fact, talk us through this, Ali.
Yeah, a moment of madness here. Sierra Hamilton just needs to lose all kinds of speed on the exit of 130R, and there is no way Ycoms can react to that. He just seems to have lost his rhythm a little bit in this race, picking up a couple of penalties, and then that minor incident will not have helped him one bit, as this is on board with Martin into the chicane, and there we go. He has picked up a 3-second time penalty as well, and that could be absolutely crucial come the end of the race. But on board with the race leader now, Jason, and I think this would probably be around the optimal pit stop lap for a one-stop strategy, and he will indeed come into the pits for a set of hard tyres, and he is going to be on the same tyres, or the same compound of tyre, as Martin and Ciari at the end of the race. They are all going to be on a set of hard tyres, so Jason has a very, very good chance. He's also going to have a huge undercut on those guys as well, so although his tyres are going to be slightly older, he has a big chance at a very strong result in this race, as Raikkonen still hasn't managed to shake the Toro Rosso behind him. He's now going to be coming under pressure into turn 1, not putting up much of a fight, and Andre's down the inside, but what a huge amount of speed Raikkonen's managed to carry around the outside there, and he's still going to be able to do it, short shifting on the exit to try and maximise that traction, and he has managed to maintain the position. I thought he was being very passive into turn 1, but no, in reality he was just ready to launch it around the outside. But now on board with Jason, to make his strategy work, he really needs to try and get out of that traffic as much as possible, otherwise it's just going to be costing him time to the leaders. And Ciari has closed up to the back of Martin quite a lot, it seems. I mean, visually the gap looks a lot smaller, but obviously Martin has that 3-second time penalty, which I think could have a fairly large bearing come the end of the race.
And I believe the driver, you know, the race engineer may have communicated that even to Sayaryu, letting him know that the driver ahead has a 3-second time penalty, and he could just be playing it safe and making sure that, I mean, he does need to worry about the Flying Finn. Certainly if Martin is slowing him down to the point where the Flying Finn is starting to catch up, then I imagine Sayaryu is going to get very anxious to get past that Mercedes. But as it stands right now, he may be aware of that 3-second penalty up ahead, and he might know that he essentially has the lead of this race right now, just as long as he keeps everything nice and clean. Let's see what he does, though, as he picks up the DRS and the slipstream and goes into rich mix. I think we're going to see an overtake here into turn 1 with the inside line. TRL Martin really not fighting it all that much. Again, just carbon copy of the same move that we saw earlier. Seario just going up the inside Lucky Dog 2000 now, the Haas driver, disconnecting from the session, so that's unfortunate for him. His race is over. Ycoms continuing on in 6th place, and there he goes. It's another incident. I was just about to say, Ycoms clearly struggling, and yet at the same time, he is in 6th position. We've seen him struggling so much, but, he's still in the top 10. He's still in the points. He's still in a good position that a lot of people, most people in this race would prefer to be in. Let's see what's gone on with HCR Cupid towards the end of lap 13 as he's making a move on the sister teammate Toro Rosso of Mauricio Alonso. Nice and easy move getting by him. Not sure what happened there exactly, but no problems for him. Jason 97 on the back of Andre BCF 1997, and into the hairpin we go, and his teammate not far up the road as well, and I believe pressuring Ycoms for that 6th place position currently, and back on board with the leader Seario. And TRL Martin's not that close behind. I don't think we're going to see an overtake attempt into the Casio Triangle. Let's see what he does, though. Very late on the brakes, closing in massively under braking for the chicane. And on the power we go, out of the final corner. Oh, and Martin actually into the pits, unsurprisingly, as he does still need to fit a set of the hard compound tires. And Jason 97 F1 in the Ferrari shoots up the inside of 130R and grabs that position. Very nicely done for him. So let's see. Martin is in, but I don't think Seario followed him.
Yeah, he is going to undercut Seario, and I think he's probably pitting slightly early to try and build that 3-second gap he needs to try and finish ahead of the Renaults. We don't know whether he has any penalties yet, but it looks like, unfortunately for TRL Martin, he is going to come out with a 4-car train ahead of him, which is not going to be good for his undercut at all. Probably negate his the speed he's going to gain from being on fresh tyres. So that is not what the Mercedes driver will have wanted to see whatsoever. And Seario is probably going to be able to build his lead out in front. He has absolutely no traffic, completely clear air, which is absolutely crucial around this track. And even though Martin is going to have the slipstream from the guys in front, they aren't going to be going as quick as the leaders, you would assume. But Martin, through the Degners, is not going to be able to make a move, and he's closing up on so many cars. This is going to cost him a lot of time.
Oh, wow.
That's a very bizarre. I'm not entirely sure what went on there, but
that was generous.
Very generous indeed. A strange place to let him. Curious Raikkonen has picked up a 3-second time penalty. Ycoms now up into P5, despite making quite a few errors in this race. He is still in a very strong position, but obviously with Martin, and that is Jason actually. So Martin's caught already onto the back of the one stopping Jason. So although it was an impressive strategy from the Ferrari, I think it would have been too much to say if he could have won this race. I think he could still be in with a shout of a podium potentially, or around P4, P5. As now Raikkonen going down the inside of Ycoms, and TRL Martin going down the inside of the other Ferrari of Jason as well. So 2 moves being made into 130R, synchronized just a couple of seconds back. But Raikkonen now past Ycoms as Seario is into the pits. A 2-second pit stop, 6/10 faster than what Mercedes could do for TRL Martin. So where is he going to come out in relation to the Mercedes driver? I can't quite see. That is Seario coming out of the pits now. And where is Martin? That's Ycoms going past, and Seario is miles ahead of TRL Martin. He's got a car between him as well. That has worked out absolutely perfectly. Seario not only has fresher tyres, but also a 1-car buffer between himself and Martin. It's looking very, very good for Seario in this race now.
Fantastic stuff. I really like the respect given to one another as Seario was coming out of the pits there. Ycoms giving plenty of room, driving very, very well there. TRL Martin, though, also driving very well. He's going to shoot up the inside of Dunlop. He's going to have to go around the outside at the Degners. Understandably, Ycoms braking very, very early. Doesn't want to collide with that championship contender. Worth pointing out, again, guys, remember, TRL Martin is still in this championship. He does need to outscore the Flying Finn today here at Suzuka, so it's not looking super great, but he needs, in fact, 8 points more than the Flying Finn today. But let's see, more struggles potentially for HCR Cupid as he goes up the inside at 130R. No, nice, clean, easy move, so that's great to see for Cupid. I know he has not been having the best race, but looks like things might be turning up as we are well past the halfway point of this race. This goes by so quickly here at Suzuka as RS Falcon into the pits, getting it all slowed down, no penalties for him. As well, Ycoms now into the pits at the end of lap 16. He's going to do an 11-lap stint. It'll be interesting to see if he goes on to another set of hards or a set of the mediums. Seiryu, meanwhile, on the attack on AOR Raikkonen, was having to look up the inside. His tires are just that much fresher, and seemingly he is just that much quicker as well. And that is a 7.8-second pit stop for Ycoms. That's certainly not going to get him any closer to RS Falcon. And Seiryu just pushing Raikkonen through these S-curves. Really not much he could do. Oh, man. And we've got traffic as well. Giovinazzi's trying to do his best, staying to the left-hand side, holding his line. I think that was the right thing from Giovinazzi, but certainly that hasn't helped Seiryu, as I think he was possibly setting up an overtake on AOR Raikkonen. He's a little bit too far back, I think, to try anything into the hairpin, but Tyrrell Martin is all over the back of him, and Seiryu needs this win if he wants to keep it in the championship, if he wants to keep his championship hopes alive. The more points that he can outscore the Flying Finn with, the better, and he really needs to get by Raikkonen here, and he really also needs to not lose this position to Tyrrell Martin here.
Yeah, it's becoming a very spicy fight for P3, but this is the net lead of the race pretty much, as Raikkonen is doing a pretty good job of holding these guys up. He has to make another stop before the end of the race, I'm pretty sure, but here we go with Martin so close to the back of Seiryu through 130 up, but that's not an overtaking opportunity at all, really. You need to be so set down the inside, but that's extremely close. I don't know how Martin's managed to avoid making contact with the back of the Renault, but I think Raikkonen is going to allow Seiryu to stay ahead because of the DRS and that obviously supreme slipstream effect. But is Seiryu going to be able to clear the Ferrari into turn 1? Is he going to go aggressive? It's going to be 3 wide almost. Almost 3 wide into turn 1 of Seiryu. Now got the inside of Raikkonen. There's a slight bit of contact. Is Martin going to be able to get both of them? He's going to be able to get the Raikkonen for sure. And they have both managed to slip through the Ferrari. He has been in front of them for so long. Seiryu must have been getting sick of the sight of the back of that Ferrari. But now both of them are through. And now we are going to see probably a titanic battle for the net lead of this race. Although you've got to remember Martin's penalty. That must be heartbreaking for him, knowing that he's got to pull a 3-second lead on Seiryu, which is much easier said than done considering how close all these guys are on pace. We saw in qualifying, these guys are so close to each other, so pulling a 3-second gap, you'd imagine, unless something happens to Seiryu, it's going to be nigh on impossible.
Yeah, less than half a tenth between these two guys in qualifying, so we know that they have extremely similar pace. Both of these guys into the 132.7s. The Flying Finn currently leading, and it looks like he is going to be coming into the pits. We will see. And yeah, you were right. You actually called it, Ali. He is going to come into the pits for another set of the soft tires. There are 9 laps remaining in this race. He's almost certainly going to be coming out behind that battle between Seiryu and Martin for, again, what is effectively the lead of this race. And there we go, the Williams in nice and slow into the pit entrance, really not taking any sort of risks, finds his pit box and puts on a set of the yellow mark soft compound tires on his way out now. And speaking of on their way out, these guys are making their way out of the final corner, and even before the DRS activation, Tyrrell Martin is already alongside. He's got the DRS activated. He's not getting the slipstream, of course, but with the inside line and with that reduced drag, he is able to easily regain the lead of this race. But again, with that 3-second time penalty, the Flying Finn will come out behind Jason 97 F1, though, the Ferrari driver, on that one-stop strategy, managing to hold track position ahead of the Williams, which is certainly not going to be helping the Flying Finn. Again, needing to outscore Seiryu by 6 points or more to claim the championship here in Japan. Ycoms moves back up into 10th position after regaining a spot off of a car that was in the pits. And let's see, with these soft compound tires, how quickly is the Flying Finn going to get past Jason 97 F1? Because this is going to be a massive difference, not just in compound, but tire life as well. He's already alongside into the hairpin and already alongside, or already through, actually, excuse me. The move is already done. Didn't even need to make any sort of Kamui Kobayashi type dive bombs, just already through on those brand new soft compound tires. And of course, with the Flying Finn being the type of driver that he is, oh, that is very wide at the exit of Spoon for Tyrrell Martin. That's definitely going to lose him some time to Seiryu, although not as much as I would have expected, possibly using some rich mix, as is the Renault driver on the run down towards 130R, but I thought that might have been Seiryu's chance here, but yeah, it's almost an 8/10 gap to the Mercedes up ahead. Possibly a lockup from the Mercedes into the Casio Triangle. Nope, everything looks under control. And Ali, I think he's going to be a little too far back to do anything at the start of lap 20.
Yeah, but crucially for Ciari, surely he must know that Tierra Martin has a penalty. He's just got to stay in the slipstream, and if those two fight, they must know surely that the flying fin on that set of soft tyres is going to be absolutely flying. If he wants this championship today, he has got to be putting the... he's got to be really, really going fast at this stage. He's got a huge amount of time to close up, but if those guys start battling, then it's going to be much, much easier. He has 2 steps of compound difference in tyres, so he's got a massive advantage, not only in tyre life, but obviously in compound as well. He's got much, much better tyres, so he's going to be much quicker, but is it going to be enough? It looks like the championship could possibly be waiting for another round, but now on board with Burnout into the chicane. It's a big lock-up. He seems to be under pressure from Maurizio Alonso, and he's going to go around the outside at the chicane, which is a fairly simple move actually due to Burnout's mistake, but then Alonso nearly losing it into the wall, which made that slightly harder for himself than it looked like it had to be. But Ciari is crucially still in the slipstream of Martin. I think he's going to be just about within DRS, so the slipstream effect around this track is absolutely mega. You gain so much time in the slipstream, and I think that's going to be crucial for Ciari if he wants to stay ahead of his championship rival, the Flying Finn, who is visibly much, much closer. And look how much grip he has. He is absolutely flying, and he's definitely going to be on the back of these guys before the end of the race. And just like Malaysia, we could be seeing a 3-way fight for the lead of the race on the final lap. And it's almost a second purple as well. That's huge.
He is chewing through those tires, though. He was at nearly 20% tire wear, and this is only his 2nd lap now on this set of soft tires. So he is clearly pushing very hard. Yeah, 18% at the end of 2 laps, and he's due for a 9-lap stint on this set of soft compound tires, so I fear he may have been aggressive. And here's Jason. He's the one that was one-stopping. I think I inadvertently said earlier that Raikkonen was the one that was one-stopping, but Jason was the one that was trying to do the one-stop strategy. Here is him trying to take 6th position off of Andre BCF into 130R with the inside line. Nice, easy move for the Ferrari driver. Now up into 4th position, ahead of Mike Marshmallow, currently running on the medium compound tires, but pretty far back. Some decent tire wear going on there for the Ferrari, but I think he's going to make it. He's only got 5 more laps remaining in this race. Back on board with Ycoms, still in a points-paying position, so it's not all bad news for the Force India driver. Oh man, it certainly looks like worse news for CRL Hamilton there. He just clonked the barrier pretty hard. I missed the message at the bottom of the screen. Was that him out of the race?
I believe it was. It looked like a very strange incident. I mean, it's a tricky traction zone, but he is out of the Grand Prix from a points-paying position. That is not going to be a very happy Mercedes driver, you would assume. But there we go, on board, or we were on board a second ago with the battle for the lead, but that's Ycoms almost in the wall. His race is just all over the place. This guy he's been in the wars today, to say the least, but he's coming now under pressure from the Toro. So they are on the same tyres, and I think Raikkonen in front is well down the road and on softer tyres. But here we go, on board with Cupid, looking for 1 point from this race. Oh no, he's not going to get 1 point driving like that. He has steamed into the back of the car ahead. I think it was Franglish in the McLaren. Ended up backwards in the wall with no front wing, and we've said that too many times about the Red Bull driver this season. There we go, retiring from the session in frustration. He's not had, well, he got 3rd last time out in Malaysia, but it must be a pretty heartbreaking result. And there we go, on board with Franglish. You can see the Red Bull closing up the back of him, and the Red Bull doesn't, the McLaren even, doesn't move at all. So I think it was just Cupid reacting slightly too late. Yeah, he just seemed to misjudge the overspeed he had coming into the corner. He just had way too much speed on the straight to be able to react that late. And here we go, the Flying Finn is so close to the lead pair, and I think Martin with that penalty is surely going to lose 2 positions here. But as the Flying Finn's tyres get older and older and more worn, the hards could actually kind of equal out, and they could be on relatively equal performance tyres by the end of the race, because the hards just don't lose any pace at all. Despite the tyre wear, they pretty much maintain pace throughout the whole stint. So the Flying Finn's got a lot of time to make up right now while his tyres are still usable. So it's going to be interesting to see. But Martin, although we said it was going to be difficult for him to pull that lead, he is just under a second ahead. He needs to break DRS.
Yeah.
Otherwise, he's going to lose position to 2 guys behind, and he's got to hope that the 2 guys behind start battling as well. That is his only chance left in this race to win the Grand Prix.
I mean, certainly Sayaryu is not going to have any sort of overtake attempt here on this occasion. I mean, he's just so far back, so clearly Martin is pushing very hard. He wants that win. There are only so many races left in this season. In fact, there's only 4 races left after this one is completed. Jason97 F1 still holding on to that 4th place position. Once again, Ali, your prediction has actually held up as he begins the penultimate lap of this race. You said he was on for a 4th or a 5th, currently in 4th position, defending from 5th position as well. His teammate AOR Raikkonen doing well on those soft compound tires as he starts the other. Oh, and here's a replay of that moment with AOR Raikkonen. He just gets that oversteer, which sends him in the direction of that backmarker car, which I can imagine really scared him. I mean, that must have been really terrifying in that moment. But here we go with Seario under braking for the Casio Triangle to finish up lap number 26 out of 27 to start this final lap now. Can he get a good enough exit out of this final corner, carry enough speed? I don't think he is. He's way too far back. He's going to be barely picking up a slipstream here on TRL Martin. And in fact, his teammate, though, crucially, is up the road. Burnout F1 is about to get lapped. TRL Martin has run very wide through turn number 1 and turn number 2 as well. That's going to allow SARU to close up a tiny bit as they come into the S's now. The Flying Finn really doesn't seem as fast as he did earlier in the stint. No surprise there, as those soft tires really starting to wear down. But that means it could be pretty much equal between the top 3. Again, TRL Martin with that 3-second time penalty. Burnout not going to get involved, not going to help his teammate, not even going to risk that. Probably the smart decision from his point of view, as he just moves wide at the exit of the Dunlop curve and just lets all of those guys through. And TRL Martin is leading this race. It's really tough to tell. I mean, I don't think Martin is going to win it unless he can pull out a 3-second gap in the final stages of this final lap. Seario clearly pushing very hard, needs to stay ahead of the Flying Finn and just needs to stay within 3 seconds of Martin. But look at that gap, Ali. The Flying Finn is way too far back. He's not going to be able to do anything. And look at that tire life.
Yeah, his tires are absolutely spent, almost in puncture range, and they have just absolutely fallen off the cliff coming into this final lap of the race. But Seario, he's not close enough to TRL Martin to make a move, but will he need to? That is the question. Does Seario have a penalty? Martin is going to cross the line first, coming through this final chicane, desperately trying to eke out that gap as much as possible. Coming up to the line, TRL Martin is going to be the first one to cross the line, but is he going to win the Grand Prix? Does Seario have a penalty? He crossed the line and Seario has won the race. An incredible drive from him, and obviously not getting penalties is just as much a part of this race as anything else. So congratulations to Seario for taking the win, and is not going to be the championship for the Flying Finn today, as Jason97 F1 comes across the line in a very, very strong P4. Mike Marshmallow in P5, and then RS Vulcan delighted with P6, and the other Ferrari of AOR Raikkonen in P7. I think the lap that he pitted for the final stint was the ideal lap to go on softs till the end, because his tyres were looking in much, much better shape than the Flying Finn. But Ycoms, after quite a strange race, is coming across the line in P8.
Yeah, very interesting race for Ycoms. In fact, actually, with the 6-second time penalty that he had, he is actually going to pick up 9th in the end. But again, considering all the incidents that he had, I think that's pretty impressive. Again, as Ali mentioned, Seario does pick up the win, though. And in fact, the Flying Finn picks up 2nd place because of TRL Martin's 3-second penalty. So the Flying Finn doing everything he could. Clearly, he couldn't make the overtake stick, but he was able to get within 3 seconds of TRL Martin, gain that extra position, that extra 3 points in the championship, which will only be beneficial. Mike Marshmallow in the Sauber, an impressive 5th. RS Falcon as well in the McLaren in 6th position. Good result from him. And in fact, it's a double points finish for McLaren and also for Ferrari as well. So good job to all of those guys. Burnout F1, last of the drivers to cross the line, a lap down and just outside the points in 12th position. Again, HCR Cupid retiring after that incident, after the Casio Triangle. CRL Hamilton as well retiring. Giovinazzi as well. Reversal, not really sure what happened with him. And then we did also have a number of absences, but no shortage of excitement in today's Japanese Grand Prix here at Suzuka. Again, in the championship, the Flying Finn still has to win it. It's not over just yet, but it is over for TRL Martin. So Martin is out of the championship. It is now a 2-horse race between the Flying Finn and Seario, and with an enormous lead, you have to say the Flying Finn is the favorite. Jason97 F1, though, moving ahead of TRL Limitless. That's something to put on the CV there, Jason97 F1, so make sure you write that down. Andre BCF 1997 moving ahead of his teammate Leobot, actually, who was absent from today's race. And those two Toro Rossos rounding out the top 10 in the Drivers' Championship. So it looks like it's, well, we know for a fact that it's not all over yet. It's still going to go down to the next race, but I think it's very likely that it might be decided at the next one.
Yeah, it is looking like the Flying Finn will wrap up the championship sooner rather than later, but his teammate in P12 in the championship contributing 40 points to the Constructors. All the points count, and in the end that could be crucial in the Constructors Championship. And there we go, Williams are considerably ahead of Mercedes in second place, and Renault moving ahead of Red Bull after HCR Cupid had a bit of a nightmare today. But that is pretty much all we have in the Constructors, apart from Haas and Force India being level on points. So that could be a nice fight to the end of the season, but I think that is just about it, Justin.
Yep, it does look like Williams could win the Constructors at the next race as well, though. Not just the driver's title, but also the Constructors Championship could be wrapped up if they get a good enough result. So not only will the Flying Finn be pushing hard, but so will his teammate, and they will be pushing hard here at my home race of the US Grand Prix from the Circuit of Americas. So of course I am particularly looking forward to that one. So that will be coming next week, or that will be the next race that we go to. No guarantees on when it's coming out, but it was another thrilling race, and for once in a while it was actually a dry race and a three-way battle for the lead here in Suzuka. But the championship decider will go to the Circuit of the Americas next time out. And Ali, thank you so much for joining me. I have to imagine certainly my favorite for the championship is going to be the Flying Finn. I imagine most people's is. What do you reckon the odds of, say, are you keeping it alive at the next race, though?
Unless the Flying Finn has a bit of a nightmare, then I would assume he is going to wrap up the championship next time. But nothing is over until the checker flag, and obviously Kota is an absolutely incredible track. The first sector is unbelievable, plenty of overtaking opportunities, so it should be another cracker.
Yep. So that is going to do it for our Japanese Grand Prix coverage. Thank you everyone for watching, and make sure you tune in next time for the US Grand Prix from the Circuit of the Americas. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.